My name is Robin Kowalski. My lab is the social psychology lab, and I'm a full professor at Clemson. I grew up in this area, so I went to high school and middle school and everything in Greenville. And then I got my BA in psychology at Furman. And then I went to Wake Forest and got my master's, and then went to UNC Greensboro and got my PhD, and stayed in North Carolina for many years after that, teaching at Western Carolina, and then was married to a professor at Clemson and had two very young children at the time. And so because my family still lived in the area, I thought it would be really beneficial to come back. It's such a great area to raise kids in and just to live in. I've been here ever since and love it. Prior to coming to Clemson, I was doing research on traditional bullying and teasing. But when I came to Clemson, it was just at the time that cyberbullying was even appearing on people's radars. That was really beneficial for me because I was coming into this new research area that built on my previous years of research. So that's my primary research area. But I also do research on some other topics like it's really under this broader umbrella of aversive interpersonal behavior. So I do research on complaining. I do research on particularly with my undergraduate research team on school shootings, particularly K through 12, college, university. And we've recently done some COVID studies looking at benefit finding. It's finding the silver lining in usually traumatic or adverse situations. So people who are able to find a silver lining in it and attach some positive meaning to it tend to experience better, not just psychological outcomes, but there are also physical outcomes attached to that. And more recently, on a more positive direction, we started doing research on mattering, what people can say or do to other people to indicate that they matter. It is just so interesting because of the mental health consequences that can have. There's actually an organizational mattering scale that I found this morning. So there's definitely an IO component to this. I feel like we have pretty good space in my lab. I feel really fortunate. It has what you would think of, computers and, my graduate students, they share the lab with my undergraduate research team, which is quite large. And in fact, one of my graduate students co-leads my creative inquiry research team with me. I tend to take a fairly hands-on approach. I can tailor that approach. I've had graduate students in the past who needed less direction. Other people, whether they need it or not, they desire to have more direction, and I'm happy to provide that. I really enjoy the time that I get to spend interacting with graduate students. Typically, I'll sort of make these mini assignments. If we're doing a master's thesis or a dissertation proposal, the first couple of weeks, we'll start off with idea generation, getting into the literature, then we'll start writing. And, I tell them as well, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I've got this whole paper to write. Well, no, I don't have a whole paper to write. It's like, I'll start with a section, I'm going to work on the definition of cyberbullying today. So it becomes much less overwhelming that way. Even if you're just typing headings in, well, you've added 3 pages to your, to your paper, even if there's almost nothing on them, all of a sudden your paper just starts to grow. I do like things done on time. If I have book chapters or manuscripts that we're writing up and we're co-authoring them together, if somebody says that they're going to have something done, by Tuesday, I need to be able to count on that. Just like I want them to be able to count on me. I want them to be open to learning. I mean, obviously, I don't think they'd be in a graduate program if they weren't, but I want them to really have fun with it, to get in the literature and read about new stuff and learn new stuff. I want them to have that fervor for it, to enjoy it. And if they don't, they're not working on the right topic. You've gotta be excited about it. You're spending all this time working on something. You gotta be excited about it. Well, I'll talk about one in particular that stands out. She did internships during the summer with a company, and subsequently, upon graduation, took a job with that company. Internships are important. I guess that's another thing I would say is for students to really take advantage of opportunities while they're in the program. And that could be internships, collaborating with other faculty. The faculty all get along so well at Clemson, and none of us are territorial about hoarding our students or anything like that. We want to share. So I think that's just really important.